It's December 5, 1918, doing another video. I know it's been a while, been busy doing lots of stuff, and I've been just trying to figure out what I wanted to put up for my next video. And so, well, here we are, at another video. Let's just talk a little bit about prepping, I guess. You know, it's always good to have some stuff prepared. And what does it mean to be a prepper? Well, prepper basically means you're being prepared for anything or anything that could come up as far as like hurricanes, bad weather, your car breaking down, to, pardon my French, but shit hitting the fan, government breakdown, the whole 9 yards. I mean, you could have an intruder. That could be classified as a, need to be prepared for as well. And one of the things that I've noticed is they always talk about the number one thing you need to have is your food and your water. Without food and water, you will not survive. Period. You could have 1,000,000 rounds and still it's not going to be good enough. Sure, I got, plenty of ammunition. I got MREs stacked up. I got, a few of them to get me through at least a couple of months. And I say that to say this. As far as the MREs go, you got your canned goods and things of that nature. The reason why is, let's just say you lose your job. That's a situation too. Because I've been watching, Joe Fox, Pastor Joe Fox, and he made a point. He said that many of the people that ended up following his 12 buckets with rice, beans, and all that stuff, they ended up having to dig into it because of one thing. They lost their job. So in an economic downturn, or let's just say you don't make enough money for that month, dig into it. That's what it's there for. It's to help cover you from point A to point B. Just like having a spare vehicle. And I will say, not last week, but the week before that, my car decided to, at night not to start. I had to dig into it, figure it out, found out what the problem was, got the parts, replaced the parts, and now it runs. Which I still got to replace the spark plugs and the wires, but the main portion of it that they go into, I forget the name of it offhand. Yeah, I know. Needed to be replaced. So I bought all the parts for $100 and some bucks. Got it delivered. Put it in, went to work the next day. It's kind of hard when you work at 10 o'clock at night and you can't get parts. It's kind of hard. So that's the only reason why I missed that day of work. So it's just simple things like that you got to think. Because now I missed a day there, so that means I missed 8 hours worth of work, which thank God I end up working an extra 8 hours a week anyways. And since it was also a holiday work week, I got paid the holiday pay. And because I worked what would have been my holiday and had the next day off, because of that situation, I got the holiday pay and the 8 hours worth of pay. So it covered me back to the 40 hours for the week, not 48 hours that I usually work. So that there is pretty good to go. And believe me, anything can happen. There's situations where I had to literally walk out of my job. Didn't have another job for about a month and a half. Thank God I had money saved up at that point. And it's really weird because I was working at Jiffy Lube still, and I was working at my current place before they ended up letting a lot of people go. And which, that was another one too. I ended up having been let go and I needed to find another job. Well, thank God they found another job for me at that point too. So, like I said, it doesn't have to be, super major, you know, government fails type situation that you can use it for. It's just the easy, simple stuff. And I don't know how many times I gotta say it, but sometimes it's just the simple stuff that you gotta be prepared for. And that's the way it goes, you know? You never know. Another one too is, here's another situation. Let's just say tornadoes. I know in Minnesota there's certain parts where Tornado Alley, it's part of it. Or if you live in Florida, there's hurricanes, or the southern states. You got West Coast, you could have, excuse me, you could have earthquakes. You know, shaking the foundation. You have fires out in California, and you have forest fires up in Canada a few years back. Burned a lot of forest. What are you going to do then? What happens if you have to bug out and you can't go back home because your house got burned down? Uh-oh. Now your food and everything else is gone. What do you got now? How are you going to survive? How are you going to live? I will say I got, like I said, I got the ammunition, I got food, and obviously I need to re-go through my bag because fall's coming up here, and so I got to change it out for the fall and for the winter. And that way I'm prepared. So in the winter time I have an extra blanket, I have extra pair of gloves, extra hat, extra coat, just in case. If I got it down and put an extra piece of clothing item on, I also like to, you know, obviously I can't do, in the winter, do a source for water, because that's a little hard on that one. Considering one major flaw. In the wintertime in Minnesota, woo, it'd be solid as a rock. How you gonna drink ice? So with that, then I would probably just grab a canteen or whatever, fill it up in the morning, and leave. And then dump it out when I got back home. It's the only way to work around that one. Now, if you're in the southern states, you can do that pretty much 24/7 any day of the year. And let's see, what else is there that you got to prepare for? Oh, here's another one. Family expenses. Let's just say you are working and you end up splicing your leg open because you're using an axe and whoops, it slipped and cut your leg open. Uh-oh, what are you going to do now? Or what about falling out of a tree and because you're trying to be funny and trying to climb up the tree and show off to your girlfriend or your wife? Or your kid falls out of the tree, breaks his arm. And now you got to go to the medical, you know, go to the hospital and get that taken care of. And then you got a little bit of a medical bill that now you got to pay for. What do you do then? Or what about medication? So yeah, I do believe in being prepared for just about anything that could go wrong with the simple stuff. Now you asked me if I am way to the extreme of like, oh well, do you got a plate carrier and all that stuff too? I'm like, well, actually I do. The plates I don't have yet, just because of the fact that they're a little bit out of my price range at the moment. I know there's some of them that are cheaper, but I don't want to go with the cheaper ones because they're not going to do any good. Oh yeah, you can get the level blah blah blah, but it's only going to protect from 9mm and 44, which, by the way, the armor itself already does that. I also have the LBVH, or however you pronounce it, from the late 80s, the early 2000s that we used for the chest rig. They keep changing the stupid acronym on these things, and I hate it. But basically, the chest rig itself is really nice because you got the 6 magazines up top, and then I can put other things as well in there too. Like I got a compass, I got my earbuds, I have a spot for my pistol, as well as an extra magazine, med kit, canteen pouch with cup. Just the simple stuff. You ain't got to go extravagant, just simple stuff. And I also have an H harness. That's the one that's before that. So there's magazine pouches that hold 3 magazines each. So I'll probably set that up with 1 on each side for a total of 6 magazines. There again, I'll probably add a first aid pouch to it, as well as some other things on the gear, which will make it easy. So it'll depend on the situation and what I need to do with it. But it's just these simple, easy things that people can do. And if you're worried about, well, I can't afford food, I can't afford 200 pounds of rice and this and that, well, you don't have to buy 200 pounds of rice right away. Every time you go to the store, if you happen to see a small bag of rice, throw it on there. If you see a couple cans of corn, every time you go, grab an extra can of corn every week. Or if you see a good deal on ammunition, buy a box of whatever it is that you need. You don't have to buy it all at once. Me, I like to get the 62 grain M855 ammunition. Why? Because I know how it shoots and I love that ammunition. I don't like 55 grain. But that's the way I am. For some of you, you might be able to shoot the AK-47 better. Or same thing, pistols. You might shoot the 9mm better than the 380, or the 45, or the 40, or the 38 special. And trust me, even if you get shot by the 22 or 22, even a BB gun hurts. Now granted, you're probably not going to die from a BB gun, but you can still do some pretty wicked damage, especially if you hit them in the eyeball. But there again, that's for self-defense. Another situation. And sometimes just being prepared and being armed keeps marauders away. Whose else do you think they're going to go after first? The guy who they know that doesn't have any guns, or the guy who they probably think that has guns and has guns that they're going to be out there to shoot and to kill? I don't know. It's just food for thought. I know this is getting a little long, but you know what? That's alright. That's alright. Another thing, too, that you should probably do is go out there and find your local farmers. And I need to work on trying to find a big ice box, aka freezer, because what I want to do eventually is buy half a cow or a whole cow and just put it in the ice box and use that over the year, as well as going hunting and getting deer meat and things of that nature, so I can support the local farmers. There's a couple other farmers that are local that sell eggs around here. Great. I'd rather give them $4 or $5 for a dozen eggs instead of paying, the old market where they got them all caged and bunched up, giving them God knows what kind of antibiotics and crap. Because when you support the local farmer, you're supporting your local community, and guess who's going to help you out when the time comes? Hello. They keep bringing the food, as well as you keep providing the protection or whatever. If crap hits the fan, guess what? You might want to also have a small little group that you can depend on. That way some can pull security, some can pull the garden, some can, do other things too. Some will, there will have to be one person that, keeps everybody together, like a manager or whatever. But he will be responsible for maintaining the place. Then you have others, like I said, that'll do the other stuff. Which will be what? Oh yeah. It will be for, like I said, security. Awesome. Then you have others who will take care of the kids. Some will cook. Not everybody knows how to cook. Not everybody knows how to pull security. Not everybody knows how to be a manager. I remember one video I watched, and it was awesome, talking about pennies, nickels, dimes, and quarters, which is another subject, but your pennies are your basic people who are there to be there, but they don't really know much or can do much. And yeah, you can find a good penny every once in a while. Then you got your nickels, dimes, and quarters, which nickels are your potential leaders that have a possibility. Your dimes are those that have led a little bit, and you can tell that they got some experience, but they need a lot more experience. And your quarters are those that are your most valuable asset, because they are the type of leader, they know how to do stuff, they can do whatever is necessary or do whatever is needed to help provide one way or the other. Whether it's providing security, or knowing how to plant a garden, to whatever it is. And these are just some of the small things that are all compiled into one little video that we'll dig into more about later as I go. And I know there's a bazillion videos out there about all this stuff. But, as I stated before, being prepared is a good thing. And it's not like I'm like, oh, I'm worried about it. No. I'm prepared because I want to be prepared in case something does happen. That way when the situation arises, it's not as much of a headache of, oh, crap, where am I going to find food? Where am I going to find water? How am I going to maintain, fuel? How am I going to, whatever the case is. And it's just that simple and that easy. Semperfi, signing out.